who was the chief engineer for the steam packet company, and he'd made one of these engines. So when I got home, I rang this Casey up, and he directed me. He said that all the plans and all the patterns for the castings and everything are in New Zealand. So I rang him up, and who should be there but this Casey who had spoke to in the Isle of Man. He'd gone up to New Zealand, and he put me onto this Jimmy Woods, his name is, who got these plans. And so he sent me the castings, which some of these are obviously castings, the wheel castings and the cylinder castings, and the plans. And we had the plans first, and we had considered the plans, didn't we? With Ken.
You had the divorce, didn't you?
Well, yes, I've got them on the table, and that's really on the front room table, and there was a little bit of a. Anyhow, we're still
confrontation.
I still live there, anyhow. It weren't too bad, anyhow. I had this on the kitchen table at Christmas Day, trying to work this time, you know. So I've got a bit bolder over 49 3/4 years, haven't I? And we looked at these plans with a bit of help, and I think it was agreed that I could probably have a good crack at it. So I sent for the plans, and if I'd have looked at this, like if I'd have gone down here and looked at that before I started, I'd probably given it up before even had a go. But if you make bit at a time and put it all together, and if you're near enough, it'll work, you know. So anyhow, I sent sent for the old shooting match of castings, and they came, and away we went. So anyhow, we got this far. Whether we'll ever get to the final result, I don't know.
Yeah, and how many of these about this particular loco in model form?
Well, there are a few. I've seen one at Harrogate, that one that we took a photograph of, and there was a bloke. I went to another meeting, and he was making a 7 1/4 gauge one. But he'd already got something a bit different than it should be. But anyhow, he only got the chassis bit done. But whether there's many or not, there's certainly not very many. It's a combination of me going over there and liking what I saw, I suppose. It's just got a nice little look to it, I think. But anyhow, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as they say, isn't it? So,
Nice looking engine.
So yeah. Well,
How old is the original then?
it was this model that I'm building was built in 1870. I look at it at times and thinking 100 and whatever years old it is, or was, when they did some of these things, made some of these things, and decided to do, different, better methods of doing things. They must have been very good men to it's easy to copy something that's been done, but to actually crash off and do it first off. But obviously Bayer Peacock was a firm that made engines and went all over the world. They exported a lot of stuff. So anyhow, I think that's about it.
Springs, that's so big.
Oh yes, that's right. The springs on this, there's none of this cheating and putting what do you call it, coil springs behind. These are proper springs made out of a bandsaw blade, which I think I've got a bandsaw blade, which is that. I've got one leaf at the top and a little leaf at the bottom to hold them up. The ones in the middle are made out of tufnel. If you made them all of this, it would be unbendable. But there seems to be enough strength in this to carry the weight, doing the technical assessment work that I did on it when to work out whether it worked or not. It's so thick. Well, you can pass that round if you want. It's good stuff, and I've got a good supply of it if anybody wants any.
How do you cut it?
Well, I cut it with a grinder with a thin, one of them very thin blades on. Drilling it without softening it. I didn't bother softening it. I left it as it was because it'll take a bend, all right. I tried it with some new drills and just absolutely wasted time. And this drill that we got, what worked perfectly was to slow the drill down to sort of that speed and keep plenty of pressure on it, and it went through lovely. So I had a little jig to make these springs, so that I made two pins and a groove on a bend, and put the thing in, and each of you took and curled it round these two bolts that were stuck out, so I got the eyes in the right place. There's two sides of the springs, the ones that on the driving axle and one on the bogie at the front. They're a bit shorter, very, very similar. I think it's, well, I hope it's about right. So that's as maybe at the moment, but it's quite a stiff spring to carry a bit of weight. So I think that's about all I can tell you about it. Other questions you've got any?
Will you run a wet steamer, or are you putting a
No, it's a superheater. They didn't have any superheaters in originally, but superheaters are being allowed for in the boiler, and I'm altering a few bits and pieces of things to do with that, but nothing that's too drastic. It won't not materially different. It's just a different way of doing it, with a different type of regulator. I think these regulators that slide back into very, very it's either all or nothing if you're not careful. It's not as though I'm an expert, but it's I fancy one of these screwed ones with a coarse thread, so that there's nice action to it. The steam isn't compressing the job, making it heavy going.
You have to get the main wheels cast, or did you get them from New Zealand?
From New Zealand, but they haven't got any margin on the end to put the flange on, so we had to put a tyre on it. So that was another bit of a learning curve. I made a machine myself, but BLI, which was ICI at Buxton, they got an oven there that would heat bearings up and things for fitting big bearings for them sort of things, and he heated it up in the oven and it went on. I think about 4,000 interference fit. It's a quite nickel thing, isn't it? They at this stage they obviously haven't flown off yet, but whether they will do, I don't know. The balance weights, I filled them full of lead. I filled one full of lead and I thought, good God, it was like unbelievably, I thought it's very lobbying and what have you, so I got it all out that, and I filled it full of body filler at the minute, so it's not, I don't think, I've been advised by my technical advisor that it probably won't be, you don't really bother about things like that. It's just there to look how it should be. Right, okay.
Thank you very much, Ian.